spotlight like no other, giving women a platform to gain exposure. Their stories, their way. Upcoming new talent. Women that have made a difference in society. Finally, now they have a voice. Special live interviews, new talent spotlight, upcoming new book news, and so much more. It is now time for the Talent Spotlight Podcast.
Hi guys, this is the Talent Spotlight podcast with Raju here. Live, we have a special guest called Chioma Nyanani, and live from Nigeria, who is a book author other among other things. How you doing today, Chioma?
I am doing very well. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you. Obviously the information you sent to me, I've read a lot of the information. It's very, very interesting. And on so we were going to discuss. We were discussing a little bit how you came to the UK. Can you just tell us briefly how did you end up, studying in the UK first of all?
Okay. When I was 16, I finished secondary school. That's the age at which most people in my generation, so to speak, finish secondary school. In Nigeria, we have something called the 6334 system, educational system. So that's meant to be 6 years in primary, 3 years in junior secondary, another three
Right.
years in senior secondary, and then 4 years in university. But life happens, doesn't always work like that.
Yeah.
And so when I was 16, so that's after I finished senior secondary, for some reason I just found it difficult to get admission, university admission in a Nigerian university. If my result wasn't getting received one place, it was just ridiculous. And I knew that I wanted to study law, but I wasn't really sure of what university it was going to be. I knew I was interested in the UK, just because Nigerian law is actually kind of based on UK law. There's many sources of law for Nigeria, but the law, some of the case law as well, is actually based on UK law. And I just felt that if I were to do that, then it would be easier for me. But of course, the UK has many universities and law schools, so I wasn't sure which one to go to.
Right.
And I remember this one time I watched Legally Blonde, the first movie, the one where Reese Witherspoon's character um, goes to Harvard. And I was so impressed and just blown away by the fact that she was a student, yet she could represent a real client in a real court. And I remember thinking, oh, such a shame we don't do that in the UK because obviously Harvard is in the US. And then I found out that Kent, the University of Kent, which is where I ended up going, does something like that. But I don't know if they've changed now, but at the time when I applied and actually when I was there, they only did immigration law and employment law cases. So these were it wasn't court, it was tribunals, but real students from Kent Law School would actually represent real life clients in immigration tribunals and employment tribunals under the
Right.
auspices of the Kent Law Clinic, supervised by solicitors, actual solicitors who had actually finished study and all that. And that was what was in my mind. And I decided, right, if I can get to the UK, that's where I'm going to go.
Yeah.
But my results, so the conversion system for results, I didn't have the right level of results to get straight into a UK university. So what happened was I had to go to college. So I went to it's still there in the city of Oxford. So not Oxford itself, but a college in the city of Oxford called Abacus College. And
Okay.
I went there, did a university foundation program in law, And while I was there, obviously filled my UCAS form. At the time, I don't know what it is now, but at the time we had six choices, and you had to fill them out in alphabetical order. So the universities, although they would know who you picked, they didn't know who was really your first choice because they were in alphabetical order. And I remember just praying every single day that Kent would make me an offer. And it's really funny. One of the universities that I picked was East Anglia, and
Yeah.
at the time, East Anglia, you had to go to East. I think it was one of I think six universities or law schools in the UK where you had to write the LNAT exam. So it's like the US LSAT exam, but this is the LNAT, and you had to actually go to the university to write it. I remember that the day that I had to go from Oxford to Norwich to go to write the exam in East Anglia, because if I didn't go, then they would just not give me a place, and I didn't want to take that chance. I didn't know before I filled in the form to show you how prepared I was, that if East Anglia considered me, I would have to go there and write the exam. But the
Yeah.
day that I wrote the exam in East Anglia was the day Kent made me an offer. So I came back that night. Obviously, I didn't have a computer. I didn't take it home where I was
Yeah.
staying. But the following day, I went to college and I checked my email and I saw that I had an offer from Kent. It was made the day that I went off chasing something else. So yeah.
Yeah. That's very, very interesting. And the stuff you're telling is about regarding your studying and stuff. So just to confirm, maybe I missed, maybe I didn't hear this part. So did you like complete your education online in the UK?
Yeah, I did. I did. I got my law degree, and then
Yeah.
it's so funny. On the morning of my final paper,
Yeah.
I just tweaked. I didn't want to become a lawyer. That freaked me out because I thought, oh my God, like this is so not the time. But I went through with it, wrote the exam, and it was really fun. It was, I think that was one of my easiest exams. Passed my degree. At the time I graduated, that was when the recession really hit the UK. So there weren't any law jobs or anything going. In fact, investment banks and law firms, especially in the city, they were closing down, and it was not a good time. So some of my classmates who had training contracts, the training contracts, some of them were being withdrawn. Some of them, the firms that had offered the training contracts were closing in entirety. Those were very uncertain times. And I remember being very worried because I knew what I didn't want to do, but I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Do you get? So I waited for a while, hung around for a while. I did some admin jobs, um, and at some point, I actually got a postgraduate certificate in food law from the De Montfort University. I don't know why, it just appealed to me, and I thought it was a very unusual course because many other people who were doing postgrads at the time, they were either doing something like commercial law or, and I don't know, that just didn't appeal to me. And when I saw food law, I went, oh, okay, that's different. So I did that, and sometime after that was when I published my first book.
Right. Okay. Wow. So you got that, but you didn't. You said, like you said, you didn't want to be a
A
lawyer.
lawyer. Yeah.
Uh, did you have anything in your mind? What did you want to do?
That's what I'm saying. Like, at first, I didn't know,
No.
and that was very worrying because it's one thing to know what you don't want to do, but then
Yeah.
at the other end of the spectrum, okay, so I know what I don't want to do, but I don't know what I want to do,
Yeah.
and that for me was it was because usually I'm the sort of person who I find it difficult to, and I'm trying to be a bit more chilled about it. I find it difficult to not know, to not have all the information before going into something. Like I will research the heck out of everything, and I don't know. I like to say I don't like surprises, but I think there's a fear there of, okay, what if this or what if that, and so being in that position of, no, really, I don't know what I want to do, that was very frightening for me.
So when you were in the UK, is that when, if I've read this right, is that when you met the person who you had, the person in the UK? Uh, is that when you met him, or did you know him before?
So what person? Sorry.
Uh, the person who you're looking to settle down with?
Oh no, no. Not looking to. We already are. What we actually met. This is going to sound very funny. We met when we were 2 years old.
2 years.
Met. Yeah, I know. We met in nursery school.
Wow.
You know.
That is very,
Um,
very long time. Yeah.
yeah, but we met in nursery school, and then we were in the same class from nursery throughout primary school. Um, we the school that I went to, the primary school that we went to was a really exclusive primary school. So even if Nigeria had or states they have a 6-3-3 system, we just did 5 years of primary school, and from there went into secondary school. Now, when we went into secondary school, a lot of us did not see each other again. And I didn't see him until I'd actually finished secondary school and I went to pick up my, um, in the UK, they would say O level result. And I actually saw him in a, sort of like a bus station, but it was taxi park kind of thing. And the really interesting thing was that we had actually spent the previous 6 years, so throughout secondary school, we had actually gone to secondary school as well in the same town, but we just had never met because we were both in boarding school. Um, and um, after that, we didn't see each other again until what happened was, I think it was 2009. Yeah, 2009. Somebody, an old primary school mate, put up a picture of our primary five class.
Right.
I don't know why he kept that picture, but he put it up on Facebook, right? And of course, a lot of people start tagging themselves and each other and getting back in contact. And so that's when he got on my friend list, so to speak. So that was in 2009. And then in 2010, on my birthday is in March, I in March, it was a Saturday. I remember, I'll never forget. He slid into my inbox and asked me out. And I was like, Like, what are you talking about? And he said, listen, I have always liked you back from primary school. And I'm like, okay, you know we're adults now, right? This was my 27th birthday. I'm like, yeah, but we're kids then, we're adults now. He's like, okay, look, I really liked you. I really want to tell you. And I still have strong feelings for you, yada, yada, yada. And it was, we didn't date because it just, we just couldn't. It wasn't what we're supposed to do. But shortly after that, someone I had trusted, I met her in my first year, no, after my first year at uni, but before my second year, so the summer holiday in between. She had, long story short, she got my trust and then she jetted off to Nigeria with five different pieces of my writing, including the original manuscript for what became my first novel. This chick basically tried to pass off my writing in Nigeria as her own, wanted to go shoot movies and all that with my work without telling me. And I think it wasn't going very well for her. And she spoke to someone, and the person said, "Oh no, you need to get Chima's approval because this is not this is not your work." So she contacts me by email, and instead of playing nice, starts threatening me and saying, "No, I want you to sign over all the rights of your work." I'm like, "Excuse me, what are you talking about? I'm not doing that." So it gets nasty and dirty and very messy from there, she starts calling me names and saying how I'm, because in Nigeria, to a very large extent, if you're not military, so you're not uniform, or you're not a politician, you're not rich, you don't have a lot of power. Actually, make that you don't have any power at all. And so she starts telling me how she is going to use that if I don't sign my stuff over to her, she's going to use them anyway. And that what am I going to do? Am I going to come from the UK and come and fight her? That she's going to drag me through the Nigerian legal system. Now, Nigerian legal system at the best is very slow, and at the worst is corrupt. So she's
Right.
like, yeah, I'm gonna drag you through the system for 5 years. In that time, I would have made my money with your work, and I will make my name on your work. And I got very scared, and I called up my friend who is asking me out, and I'm like, look, this is what's happened. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Can you help me? And he said, who is her? Like, is she married to someone powerful or famous or whatever? And I said, no. Who is her father? I told, is he rich? Is he powerful? I said, no. And he said, give me her number. I'll sort it. And he is the most chilled out human being I have ever met. And a couple of days later, I started feeling regretful because I'm like, what's he gonna do? Like, I know this girl, she's a horrible person. She gets very nasty easily. I don't even know how I let myself get involved. And I asked him, have you dealt with it? He said, oh, don't worry, I've got it. 2 weeks later, she sends me a message, an email saying, oh, I don't know why you had to get people involved. You're being mean. And I had to call him back. I was like, what did you do? Because I know this girl, you've done something, and she's very afraid. I know
Yeah.
her, but I had to be talking like this. And he said, look, I just told her that if she thinks you don't have anybody, I'll show her that you have somebody, and I will make all of Nigeria very hot and uncomfortable for her to live in. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, what did you do for her to believe you? Because she doesn't sound like she thinks you're playing. And he says, I'm not playing. And he tells me a few other things about her that I knew, but I didn't tell him because I didn't think they were relevant. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I was like, how do you know? Because as far as I know, you're not military, you're civilian. And he's like, look, you asked me to get something done for you. I've
Right.
done it. Go and be happy. Go public. I believe you're going to be a success. And I remember at that time I was working in a small office in the Greater London area, and my boss at the time, she knew I could write, and because of the toll that this whole thing was having on me, she had noticed and she asked me, and I told her, and so I also told her when it got sorted, and she said, "Listen, I know that you're not sure what it is that you want to do, and but I think you can write, and if somebody is willing to steal your work, then it's actually good. It's really good. Like, I'm not saying this so that you're gonna feel better about yourself. Why don't you give it a go and really think about getting published? And the funny thing is, I had tried throughout university, no, actually from when I was in college in Oxford, throughout university to try and get published. And there was always one thing or the other wrong. And now I look back, I'm like, it just wasn't the right time and it wasn't the right publishers. Because after that encounter, I had there was a couple of ladies who had been ahead of me at university, and they had this, like some sort of creative company, but they hadn't dealt with writers before. They were more into music, so they weren't sure what to do with me. They couldn't manage me or anything because they didn't have the expertise. And one of them called me one day and said, "Look, we are having an open evening somewhere in London. I can't remember right now." And she said, "If you can come and have a rehearsed reading of your work, come and showcase your work. Let's see what happens from there." And I had two pieces of my work. So an excerpt from Forever There for You, which is my first novel, and another excerpt from I think it was a stage production that I worked on. I think it was a musical or something, and it was read out. And for me, the reason that I agreed was it's one thing for your friends or people that know you and like you and have deal with you and have to look at your face to tell you you can do something. It's like X Factor, right? Where people can't sing, they go on there, and then they're very shocked that they're told that they can't sing because they've got family and friends and they're telling them the opposite, right? And so I decided if that depending on the reaction I got at my work got at the open evening, that would determine if I was going to take it further and really try and get published or if I was just going to forget about it. And I got reactions from people who had never met me before, who I knew would probably not see me again, and I haven't seen them ever since. And they were really impressed. Some of them thought that the work was for us. First, they were confused. They thought, oh, okay, she's reading from something that somebody else published. And I was like, no, no, this is my work. And they said, why aren't you published yet? And for me, um, that was really the encouragement that made me go, okay, so strangers can relate with what I'm writing. It's not, not completely
Yeah.
a couple of months later, again, this is really funny. A couple of months later, I think I wasn't feeling very well. So I didn't go to work. And I was reading this free newspaper. God, I think it was The Voice or something like that. I can't remember. Um, I was reading it at home and I saw an ad in the paper to publish to if you want to publish a book. And so I called the number. I hadn't been to work for 2 weeks, or else that voice would have sounded familiar. I had a chat with the person on the other end, and he sounded very interested, right?
Right.
It was at the end of the conversation that it dawned on me that I did not ask his name. And when I asked, he starts laughing. And at this point, I'm like, oh my gosh, have I acquired a stalker? And he says, Chema, it's me. And he mentions his name. Now, the office that I worked in at the time, one of the things that we did was we dealt with psychiatrists' reports. We edited them, did some recording and all that. He was one of the psychiatrists that I've been working for, and I didn't know. And he said, the first day you touched my report, I knew that something had changed. He said, I called your boss and I asked the boss if they had hired somebody new. And she said, how did I know? And I told her that my report was different. You changed certain things that made it look even better, made it read even better. And I had to know more about you. And he said, your boss has actually told me you can write. And we were both waiting and hoping that you would approach me because your boss has actually put in a good word for you. She knows I own a publishing company. She said, would I publish you? And that he had said, because it wouldn't be fair, it would be like he was poaching me. And he said, if for any reason I approached him without her interference, without her pushing me in that direction, that he would help me get published. And that was what had happened. And so I was just shocked because I was like, wait, like you knew? And he said, yeah, I've known and I've been watching you and I've been waiting. And this is something that a lot of people, this in itself is a massive lesson. That you don't know who's watching you. You don't know who's watching. You don't know who is hoping that they will be able to do something for you or that they'll be able to work with you. And so from that conversation, it took 18 months and 7 rewrites of that manuscript. And then Forever Therefore You came out as a paperback.
Right. Well, that's a very interesting what happened down there regarding your publishing and obviously regarding how you got how you got into that. And so obviously you forwarded information about your book. So you're now obviously settled. Before we just go on to the book which you published, and you've obviously sent us that information regarding now obviously you're back in Nigeria now.
Yes, I am.
You're back in Nigeria. So how long has it been since you've been back in Nigeria?
It's been about 6 years.
6 years. So is that but when you were in the UK, did you ever feel, okay, this is my home?
Um, it it was good to me, but I knew I would leave someday. It was
Right.
just when I wasn't sure of. I knew it. This is again, it's gonna sound really weird, but even when I was coming to the UK, I knew that I wouldn't end there. I knew I'd be back in Nigeria. I just didn't know how or when.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. So
it's not.
obviously,
It's not. Sorry to cut you short. It's not necessarily because I didn't want to integrate or anything like that. It's just one of those. You know how you just know something and you, to a large extent, you don't really have a choice in the matter. It's not whether you like it or you don't like it. You just know. You just feel like, yeah, this is what's going to happen, and I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know when. And then
okay.
years later, it happens, and you're like, okay, my feeling about that was right. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So I mean, it's obviously you've been through some tough times, and obviously you obviously mentioned something. Obviously, when you did, like you said, you met him when he was 2 years old.
Yeah, we
Uh,
were both 2 years old.
2 years old, and then obviously you settled down with him in the UK. Yes, would that be right?
No, 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 no.
No.
He contacted me when I was in the UK, but he was in Nigeria. No, we got married when I came back
Okay.
to Nigeria. Yeah.
Okay. On the right. Okay. And then after you settled down with him, was he? I mean, you knew him from such a long time. So was he exactly how you known him and when you married him? Or
Um, I think when you say known for such a long time, I mean the person that you are when you are a toddler or
yeah,
when you are a teenager or whatever, like that. I mean, you know, that's not really the adult version of you, if you
yeah,
get what I mean.
yes,
And I think to a large extent, like a lot of people, I mean, I would hope that between when you're a toddler, when you're 10 years old, and when you're an adult, I would hope that you would grow and change and mature and all that. But he's definitely, what I can say is he's a sane partner who will do whatever it takes to keep me out of harm's way. That much um, I can attest to. He's not, and again, the fact that he doesn't crave fame is
right,
such is 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 an amazing thing because I remember that at that time there was also somebody else who came around and please, that one was just fame hungry, and when people don't understand that even being in entertainment, that is not a lifestyle, that is a job. Do you get like it can be exhausted, and even that it's just a job, whether it's the going to a radio station or
yeah,
even what I'm doing now, or even being on a red carpet. I'm like, that's not real life. That's not those are the publicity side of things. That's still part of your job to
right,
sell whatever it is that you've got, whether it's a book or a movie or even a reality television show. I mean, a lot of people don't know those are scripted, but that's a completely different conversation. And for me, having somebody that is who's got his head on straight to begin with, and who is not in the industry, and who is very protective, right? Because that's not something I've had. That's not something I had growing up. And
right,
yeah, I didn't have that at all. I didn't see many examples of that when I was growing up. I saw the exact opposite. And so, which is actually what makes the hook of my first book, Forever There For You, actually makes it a bit funny. Because Forever There For You, the main character, so the protagonist, she's a daddy's girl who's um, pretty, who's spoiled anyway, and her parents are rich and all that. She's an only child. And then she ends up with an abusive husband in the UK, right? That so that's actually really funny. Like she's never been in a toxic relationship in her entire life. She had a dad that loved her and would do anything for her, and then she goes and somehow life choices and some things that are actually beyond her control happen, and then she's in a place where she shouldn't be. And so having the exact opposite experience to her. Now I'm thinking about it, it's actually really weird. And so, when I'm thinking about um, being in that partnership where it's not a, I don't want this to sound weird, but it's not conventional, especially not in a Nigerian conventional sense, where there are certain, in quote, laid down rules, or you've got to do this, or you've got to do that, or else. It's it's a lot more than I would have hoped for, and this is actually a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna continue this in 1 second. I just need to just check one thing here. So,
All right.
so we're not gonna stop the recording. We're just pausing this interview just for 1 minute
Okay.
out. So I'm just gonna get back in 1 second. Yeah.
Okay.
So you were saying about about him and stuff, and obviously, like you said, you've been back in Nigeria for the last 6 years. So you've obviously everything is going like I've seen on there, like your achievements. You've done really well for yourself, and obviously you've released that book. How well has? Can you just tell us a little bit about the book?
So the first book is called Forever There for You, and it's a full-length novel, and it is the story of a girl, a Nigerian girl, a young lady who's a daddy's girl. She's never been in a toxic relationship in her life, but she ends up with an abusive husband in the UK. And so the entire book is basically about how that happens and sort of what goes on from there when she finds herself in that situation, how she deals with it or doesn't, and how it affects how circumstances surrounding that expose the people around her and their intentions and their motivations and all that. And then the second book is called Because Home Is, and it's a collection of short stories. So it's a collection of short stories about finding home and what that means to people, to anyone, and how because home is how that actually came about was the day that I returned to Nigeria. Um, when I saw my other half for the first time after a long time, it was I still remember the day, and as soon as I saw him and we hugged each other, I just knew. I think if I had any doubts before that, those just about, oh, I haven't seen this person, I don't really know this person like that, are we back or whatever. I think at that point they dissipated, and I just got that feeling of, oh, this is home. This is, this is why the ones before couldn't work, and because it just went right. Because before that, I had read this book, um, it, where it says there was a quote in there. One of the characters said, "Everybody is either running away from something or towards something." But and I understood that sentiment. But when the day that I returned to Nigeria and I embraced my other half, I was like, ah, but you stop running when you get home because there's no, that's what you're looking for. And home is, as far as I'm concerned, home is that person or that place or that thing where you can be naked and not and unashamed. And so it's because home is a collection of short stories about people who are looking for home or who have come home or who are trying to make their way into nowhere or who or what home is and are trying to make their way there. So collection of different experiences.
Right. All right. Okay. That sounds very interesting. And has when you were releasing the book, is this now something which how long is it actually taking you to write these books?
Each of them took. So Forever There for You, I would say that the process from the first draft that leads to the actual release of the book, that actually took 18 months. That was really long process. There was just a lot to be done. And then because home is like took a shorter time. I think with because home is once I got the idea and I knew what I was doing and I knew um, what I wanted each story to be about and what it, just what I wanted the story to achieve. Took a lot shorter um, in terms of time period. And again, because the themes are, I mean, a short story is a lot more condensed than a full length novel. And the themes, some of the things that I dealt with in Forever There for You that were quite distressing, I didn't deal with them. Yeah, I didn't replicate them in the postmortem. And so because of that, it was less. I mean, there was a challenge, but it was not on the sort of same scale or same type as whenever I think Forever There for You. It wasn't as mentally distressing because I mean, with Forever There for You, there was um, one of the things is domestic violence, and it was really hard for me to put down. I think when it first came out, for a while I couldn't read it. It was that um, yeah, it was that distressing. I couldn't read it for a while, and then I had to. I read it because I had to, for marketing purposes. So yeah. Um, with how long the book takes to get from draft stage, the first draft stage to hey, it's ready for the market now. I think that it depends on a lot of factors. It depends on the author, it depends on the publisher, it depends on their willingness and ability to even work together. Because at the moment, I do have a publishing company, and we have published for three other authors, and each of them, I mean, the stories are not long. I think the longest one is about 40,000 words of the ones that we published um, for other authors. And the time frame taken each time has been different. So yeah, because of all the things that we have to, it has to go through quite a lot. It has to go through editing, cover, getting the ISBNs. Nigeria is not like the UK. Nigeria, some things are just made unnecessarily difficult. I don't know. I think we have a government that's just decided that they will punish everybody for no reason. Um, so yeah, there's quite a lot of things, and then we have to read stuff, and then we have to sometimes the manuscripts need rewrites just because they're not uh, up to, or maybe one part or another is not up to the standard that I think they should be. Because I feel like just because something's coming out of Africa doesn't mean that it's substandard or subpar. Because all our books are on, or they're globally available. Amazon, Smashwords, um, Apple, everywhere that you will find any book if you are in the UK.
Right. Right. Okay. That's very. It is like you said. Obviously, novel. Obviously, it is more. It's really massive novels and massive and stuff on there. But yeah, short stories are still could say a bit easier, but still, it's still you obviously like you would have done. You have to divulge into the characters and you have to the story which you write on there. You were saying obviously. So you've released how many have you released so far then? How many books have you released?
Um, so I've got Forever There for You and Because Home In. And then we've also released three books by three authors called Murder at Midnight, that's the Cozy Mystery. There's one called Survival, that a young adult adventure um, novella. It's not a novel. And then there's another one called Ifuchidere. So that's five. And then we have a box set of all six, sort of all five titles that we've published. Um, and so as of now that we're recording this podcast, we've got six titles out. Hopefully there'll be more from this year onwards.
Right. Okay. And the information, obviously, you've sent us. You've done while we talk about this book, which obviously the information you sent us. You also you were you received a UK, what's it called, UK BAFTA Black Entertainment Film Fashion Television and
Yeah,
Arts Award winner.
yeah, yeah. So I think shortly, shortly after I got back, I started blogging, and I remember that I did it. So in Nigeria, blogging is like is the most sort of visible, if you like, form of blogging is gossip, and they call it entertainment. But I didn't want to do that, and I didn't want to do that. The substance and the structures of the blogs that we have in Nigeria, that just it didn't make sense to me, and I didn't have the stomach for the content. And so what I did, I had a vision of creating a different kind of blog to appeal to a different kind of market, if you like. Now, one of the things that I did in the UK was I worked in magazines for quite a while. I think there was one, had a very short stint as editor in chief, and I wanted to use that in blogging. So what I did was I came up with something called a blogazine, which I found out is just basically a marriage between a blog and a magazine. And then I got what do you call it, web designer person, and I said, look, this is what I'm planning to do. So give me this structure so that when people come on this site, um, if they are looking for particular kind of content in a particular section, they know exactly where to go. And so we did that for a year, and found out that I was nominated for a Becca. I got I got a shock. I thought it was a joke because again I had always I don't even know why, but I'd always assumed that if I ever wanted better, it would be for a book because even though I was serious and dedicated running the blog again, I've always told myself I just want to before anything else. And so when I heard of the nominated for blog of the year, I was like, why? And someone said, but you run a blog again, like it's still a blog. And I'm like, oh, that's true. And then people voted, um, and at the time I was also running a radio show in London. So we did that remotely, and I think some of my listeners. So it was just basically this sort of multiverse, if you like, universe, if you like, of all these things that I did that make people realize, oh, okay, she does this, or she does that. And so some of my readers would the blog again, would listen to my radio show, and then some of those who were on the radio show um, would would um, would log into my blog again and and just to read. And I remember at the time feeling like because I wasn't getting a lot of comments on the blog, I felt like like nobody was watching, nobody was listening, nobody even knew. And I remember that I went to an office in Lagos, so that's in a different town from where I live. I went to an office, a production company office. I was doing was supposed to write a series of scripts for a reality television show for them. And when I went there one time and I was waiting for somebody, I got talking to this guy, and I said, "Oh, I'm a blogger, and this is my," and he said, "Oh, I know you," and I went, "Wait, what?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
I'm an IT designer, and somebody actually looked at your blog again and said I should design their own blog like yours. And so I've been following you. And I was like, whoa, really? So again, it's that thing of carry on. You don't know who's watching or how important it is to them.
Wow. So, well, that's absolutely amazing, guys. So, I mean, how has the books done as far as your expectation? How have they received the response you were wanting them to receive? Um, Maybe have they sold um,
Uh,
the copies you wanted them to sell?
Not yet, and I think that that was down to marketing or a lack
Right.
of appropriate or the proper kind of marketing because I think it is a learning curve for me and just knowing okay this is how you do this and this is where you do this. So it's like, okay, so it's like even being on Instagram right now, say somebody has, I don't know, 40,000 real followers. Just because they've got 40,000 real followers, for instance, a lot of people don't realize that doesn't mean that 40,000 people want to buy whatever it is you're selling, right? And just because and sometimes they want to buy one thing but not another because one thing sticks to them and the other is not really their thing. And so I find that a lot of people, including myself, didn't realize that at first. And so it just took a while. And I don't know, the Nigerian market and the factors here and all that, they're quite different from what is obtainable in the UK. So that in itself, like it was just for the most part, it was finding my feet and then finding people, the right people who actually have the same goals as you and actually know what they're doing. Because sometimes someone says, "Oh, I'm a celebrity manager," and you're hearing the things that they're saying, and you're like, "No, these are not my goals. I don't know where you would get that." And they're saying, "Oh, but this is how we do things here, and this is how we've done for XYZ." And you're like, "No, I don't want to do that." So yeah, it was just having to, for me, take time out and just decide, okay, this is what I want to do, and this is how I'm going to do it, and I'm going to wait for um, the right opportunities and the right people and all that.
Right. Okay. Um, that is very, yeah, exactly. So yeah, like you said, it's marketing, and obviously, I know a lot about that when it comes to personal thing as well, releasing books, and then you do have to do a lot of marketing, and when you're starting off, it's not that easy to do it because you don't know exactly where do you do the marketing from,
Yeah.
and how to promote the book, and it's not an easy thing like um,
It's not just that. I mean,
yeah,
it's not easy, and then it's not like and the really tricky thing is that it's not a hard and fast rule. Do you get
yeah,
like there's no hard and fast rule, so it's not like it's a perfect science where you're like. I mean, even with, for instance, so I've got two books out. It's funny, but what works for one book doesn't work for the other. And you're like, but the same person that wrote them. So again, it's just basically thinking, okay, you know what, calm down and watch and look and just think about this and don't be too so caught up in oh my gosh, this has to happen right now and in this way, and if it doesn't, then all hope is lost or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the main thing is obviously that will come, that does take time to come, and obviously on there, like I said, I do have some personal experience in that as well, and it does take time, but I mean, the main thing is obviously you released your book, you released what you wanted to release and in front of
Yeah.
an audience.
Yeah.
And on there, but what's the feedback? Has any family members or anybody or your dad or anybody read the book?
Some of the people who've read the book have been very complimentary. Some I don't really care what they have to say. For me, what is really important, apart from getting paid, of course, is that the people that I've written it for, so the target audience, that the content really speaks to them and their situation, what they're going through, and that it's really helped them. That for me is more important than, I mean, that's like the biggest compliment, right?
Yeah,
Because if I like what you've got to say, then there's a good chance that I will tell other people who maybe were in my situation and that you helped, and that the next time you produce something, that um, I will want more of that. And that's just, again, it's it's a really funny form of marketing that a lot of authors and creators don't think about. And so sometimes people are tempted to um, write something that they think somebody's going to like, and it, it doesn't work out that way. When it first came out, so when Cyber Deathly first came out, I had this older woman who, she's older than me. She, I don't know, she's older than by maybe, I mean, at least 20 years, at the very least, right? And she sent me, she looks for me on Facebook, sends me gets my contact details, whatever, sends me a message and says, look, she was in an abusive marriage for years, for like over 17 years, right? And she was in limbo because she was afraid that, I don't know, she was afraid God would punish her if she got divorced or whatever. But each time she tried to forgive the guy, take him back, he nearly killed her. And she said, as soon as she read my book, so she read Forever There For You, she just went and filed for divorce. And she said, thank you for giving me my life back. At least now I can, and so for me, that
yeah,
is a lot more important. This woman is older than me, for God's sake. Like, why are you in such a situation to get for such a long time with somebody who is obviously destructive and is determined not to change? Because in Nigeria, we have a very, Nigeria is not like the UK. Nigeria is the kind of place where a man beats up a woman, she goes to the police station, the police will tell her, oh, it's a family matter, go and submit to him and go and apologize to him. This woman is bleeding. And it's one of those places where there are laws, yes, but
right.
um, but um, they're not effective. They're not effective at all, which is very funny because some of the senators, so some of the lawmakers themselves are doing this. So why would anybody listen to what they have to say? It's ridiculous. So, like I said, that's a lot more important to me than, I mean, I had people coming, or not coming, emailing me and messaging me and going, oh, you're going to go to hell, but it's going to punish you. You're trying to destroy marriages. I'm like, go and jump into a lagoon or something. And it's so funny. Some of those who said those things um, publicly, when their own relations, their own female relations, got in trouble, got with abusive, wicked men that nearly killed them, or in some cases, just about. They then started looking for me to help them, and I'm like, pick a side. What's wrong with you? Like, so it's okay when somebody else is going through that, but when it's your own, so it's like anything, nothing but the best for my nearest and dearest, but the rest of the world can go to hell. I'm like, I'm not about that life. Leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you've done that. That's the main thing. Yeah, absolutely. Like what you said. On the now the now just going back to, I mean, going to on so you've spoken a lot about obviously uh, a lot of stuff, and obviously your dad, was he an entrepreneur, your dad?
Sorry.
Your dad, was he like an entrepreneur? Was he like a business person?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean he's late, so
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But he was, um, yeah, he was.
Or did you feel any pressure that he's made now I have to prove myself?
No, I didn't.
No
If
pressure.
anything, I tried to. No, no, I didn't because he wasn't a kind person. He was very cruel. So I did. It's weird. I tried to distance myself from that,
Right.
but
Okay.
in a weird way, still try to do things to prove that I was worthy or
Yeah.
I'm worthy. That makes sense. And so it's just taking, which is actually because Nan is actually my maiden name, right? So, which is actually weird. I mean, obviously, I bear that for branding reasons because I actually wrote, I, I was so thing when I wrote Forever There for You. And so, just for branding purposes, it just works to keep that. But from a personal perspective, um,
Yeah.
it wasn't the best example. That's just um, that's the kindest way I can say. It wasn't the best example that it could have been.
Right. Right. Okay. And so he didn't. So obviously the person who you chose to get married to, he obviously was
Mm.
well aware of all that. He was happy with everything.
Yeah, I was aware of that and a lot more than I realized. So which was a shock to me because I thought, wait,
Yeah.
yeah, that's something that because again we come from we there are similarities in our backgrounds, but still a lot of differences. His dad worked in politics, but he was a very kind man. He was very kind, and I find it. I think it's one of my greatest regrets that I never got to meet him. But yeah, he was very kind, very honest, um, very principled, and very firm from what I hear. So looking at him, I'm like, yeah, I see where you got that from because in Nigeria we say a snake can't give birth to a goat, so you will take something from somewhere from an ancestor, even if you don't know. And his dad died when he was about 13, yet he looks and he behaves so much like his dad from what I've heard. So yeah, I got lucky there.
Right. Yeah. That's the main thing. So on there and so there's obviously your book. We can see obviously it's been released by, like you said, the Fearless Storyteller House Emporium Limited,
Yeah.
which you obviously
Those are
said.
the ebooks version.
This is the ebooks section, is it? Yeah.
The ebooks versions, so Kindle and EPUB. So whether it's
Can,
Kindle
right.
or
Okay.
yeah,
And
but
this book, is it available? Your books are available worldwide, everywhere?
yes, they are everywhere. They are available on Amazon. They're available on Apple. They're available
Yeah.
on Kobo, Barnes and Noble, Smashwords, of course. Um, yeah, they're available on major. I would say major retail outlets. Yes.
Okay. On that, so obviously anyone who wants to check more information on there, you can obviously visit her publisher fearlessstoryteller.org/forever hyphen there hyphen for hyphen you / uh, yeah, and obviously we can see on that it's a nice cover which you have, which is forever there for you. If you tell us a little bit about this, you said this is a novel
Yes, they will follow. Yeah.
on the, and this is what is this basically based on? briefly, what would it be?
But like I said, it's the story of how a girl a dad is well from Nigeria, who's never been in a toxic relationship in her life, ends up with an abusive husband in the UK, despite or because of um, a number of things that you do have to read to find out. Um, so things like she had, just like I did, she relocated to the UK to study, but she got at a much younger age than I did. And one of the things that she goes through is so so right, when I first got to the UK, this is going to sound, ugh, but it was very traumatizing for me. My hair started to fall out. I don't know what happened. The weather was, I mean, I've never been in such cold weather before, and I wasn't sure why,
Yeah.
but my hair literally started to fall out. I would run a comb through it, and it's not like comb, it wasn't like snagging on anything. Like, I run a comb through it, my hair would fall out in quantities wasn't the regular schedule. I would wake up in the morning and there would be hair visible on my pillow. I would put my palm on my hair and there would be hair that comes up in my hand. And that's one of the things that she goes through until she finds an Afro salon that can help her. So yeah. So that and some other things that she goes through that because she's 16, right? The protagonist Nadine, she's 16 when she goes to the UK, and so there's a lot of things that she passes through alone or with friends, or with a boyfriend, or with somebody else that ultimately make her the person that ends up in an abusive marriage and doesn't leave or say or do something that somebody else wants her to.
Right. All right, Ed. So that's very, yeah, wow, that's very interesting on that. Like I said, a lot of people would be interested in that. Obviously, a lot of people read novels, as you're aware as well, and myself on there. But since you went into before you went into writing, were you ever a novel or a storyteller reader?
Yeah, I was. I read. Oh, I actually started writing when I was very young. I was maybe 9 or so, but I didn't think about it in terms of, oh, this is a career until somebody tried to steal my work, and then I got advice that look, maybe this is something you're supposed to do and treat it as a real thing. So I've been writing from I don't know since I was 9 or even earlier, and reading as well. Yes, I think when I was much younger, my favorite books were probably not pronouncing the name right, but it was a British author called Enid Blyton. So for the famous five books, the, and then some of her children's books as well. I really, really love.
All right. All right, Jay. So yeah, that's that's great. So okay, so and basically regarding this, is there when did this book actually release, first of all?
The paperback released in 2012, May 2012. Yeah, May 2012. And then the ebook released in the ebook version Forever Therefore you released in 2016.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
On there, so yeah, that's absolutely great. So anybody wanting to do it, visit your information and purchase the book, you can on obviously like you said, on all the online retailers? And what about in Nigeria itself? Is there any in Nigeria itself any physical book sellers which are selling a book?
Not at the moment, no. Just because I think we ran out of copies and
Right.
we need to, yeah. But in Nigeria, there is Okada Books. That's an online company. That's like Amazon, but
Okay.
it's just ebook. So anyone who lives in Nigeria who likes reading will know Okada Books and Forever There for You and Because Promise, they're actually on Okada Books as well.
All right. Right. That is very interesting. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, definitely. And so you're releasing books, and that's one thing which, like you said, you wanted to do. And also, did you, if I'm reading this correctly, did you want to get into what was it into the entertainment area as well?
Not as an actress, but as a writer. Yes.
As a writer.
Yeah. So I'm actually working on a number of scripts for TV series. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I mean, I discussed some of the ideas with some people, and they think that they're the viable ideas. So I mean, at the end of the day, just like with a novel, if the idea is something that people want to know more about, it's something that should already affect them. And hopefully, yeah, that will work out. So yeah.
Right. Okay. So, and what about the information regarding you wanting to? Is it you wanting to be like a radio personality to a?
That I've done that.
You've done that already.
Yeah, I did that in 2016 into 2017. I started 2017. And so what that's done is just made me, again with COVID and podcasts becoming the new rage. So it's made me think, okay, maybe this is something that you can um, that you can explore as well. So um, at the moment, we're actually pre-producing, we're in pre-production stages for the podcast.
Yeah. Okay. And what about the stuff about being a TV host, TV presenter?
Again, that is something that we're also pre-producing at the moment.
Right.
Again, like I said, it would have to be something different, something daring, not the usual. Like I mean, everyone, each to their own. But
Yeah.
for me, it would have to be something. I mean, it doesn't have to be like Christina Mampo. I don't have to be on the front line of a war zone, right? But if it was a regular celebrity interview show, I would struggle. I just would. I just know. So it would have to be the right content, the right time, the right collaboration, and yeah.
Right. Okay. So, but yeah, absolutely. So obviously something which would fit into what you could do. Absolutely.
Yeah, what I can do and actually what I'm interested in.
Exactly. It's about one's own strength, isn't it? About one's own strength on what you're comfortable in doing. But absolutely, you would be the kind of stuff you've done, Chioma, that obviously there would be a lot of women who will obviously you've been inspiration to the kind of work obviously you've done regarding your writing and stuff. And it is so obviously you may go into that area. And what about building this, which you said building a brand? Is this the kind of brand you're looking to build, or is this something?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Because I mean, like I said before, if it
Yeah,
was something I had been, shall I say, educated about and I've been more um, knowledgeable in, this is actually what I would have said doing when I came back to Nigeria. You know, building this kind of brand, not just, oh, I want to sell my book, I want to, because even after, I mean, not everybody, like I said, not everybody wants to buy the book because that particular, maybe those particular subjects don't speak to them. But something I said on a radio show or TV show might be more their cup of coffee. And as long as, whether it's a message from the book, the way that I write them, or TV show and all that, as long as there is a very coherent thread through them. And so when people read or listen or watch, they go, oh, I know that voice. This is what she would say. That if I had known that, that's something I would have started to
right.
implement as soon as I arrived here.
All right. Absolutely. So we've covered a lot of stuff already. So obviously, um, like I've been saying, obviously you can purchase her books on all good book retailers or via check the information via the publisher as well on there. Well, I will obviously provide the links at the end of the broadcast as well regarding where you can but check the information on the publisher website. That information will be produced at the end of this broadcast interview. Now, regarding, so you've done a lot of stuff. So what is any, do you have any goals on after this, or are you planning, you have any other book writing in the works at the moment?
Yeah, there are book series, and like I said before, TV series that we're pre-producing at the moment. I've got a manuscript for um, for the first in a book series. That I got this the second draft that I finished writing, and I'm gonna see how that goes. I've also got something I think that's in non-fiction, which is actually this is actually a surprise to me. But this is something that I'm trying to be really intentional about is to not be so gung ho about it's going to happen this month and it's going to happen this way and in this order. If it doesn't, all hope is lost. I'm trying to be to have a bit more faith in the process and not say I'm chilling out completely, but just know that sometimes certain things happen in an order that I might not choose or I might not have anticipated, but to just be a bit more open. Um, so that's for my own books and my own name, but again, we're looking to publish more books for other
Right.
just
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes, you can you just hear me there? Sorry, I just lost your voice there. So we are obviously here live, obviously in uh, speaking to our special guest, Chishoma from Nigeria. And for anyone who's just listening now, this broadcast obviously is available via the YouTube channel, Tala Spotlight it's called, and also on all podcasting platforms, including Podbean, Amazon Music, among others, Spotify, among others. Now, obviously, we've spoken about your your books and obviously a lot about obviously some about the UK and stuff on there. So you were telling us about the UK, so, the UK as well. So how long in total did you live in the UK for?
Just under 10 years.
2 years.
No, 10. Just
10
under a
years.
decade. Yeah,
Wow.
just under. Yeah, just under.
So
Because I came,
how were you living? Was it on a visa or how was it?
yeah, student and then working. Yeah.
How long did it take you to adjust to the UK life?
Um, I think I don't think that's it because there were different aspects.
Yeah.
Right? There were different aspects to adjust to. I think academically um it wasn't hard. I
Yeah.
liked the school. I liked the schooling aspect and the only thing that I think within the educational system um that took quite a bit of getting used to, and I don't even think I'm that used to it. I don't think I would even be used to it now. Would be calling teachers by their names because we don't by their first name, right? So because we don't do that in Nigeria, that would that would not go down well. I think uh, in all the time that I was studying in the UK, there was maybe one or just two lecturers that um, insisted on being called Doctor, this professor, that. But everyone was like, no, call me my first name. So yeah, food. I don't know. I'm not really a foodie. I'm not that picky, if that makes sense. I will try most things. If I don't like something, then I don't like it. Um, Night out, I wasn't really a fan. I'm not really a night person like that. But for the most part, for the UK that I was in, I don't know what's happening now because obviously a lot of time has passed and politics and all that. But I was happy being
Yeah.
there at the time that I was. Even sort of doing uni, I was involved in student union government. So obviously I was comfortable enough to do that. And because of that, I I had the
Yeah.
confidence to that. So yeah, yeah, it was a good it's not something I regret at all. I really don't regret at all.
Right. All right. Okay. On that. So majority. So when do you decide that okay, I need to just leave the UK?
But I knew, like I said
Yeah.
before, I knew as I was even as I was entering the UK, I knew it was not permanent. I knew that I would leave, but I didn't know when or how because, like I said, I was just coming in. I hadn't even gone to college, never mind gone to uni. So I didn't know what was going to happen, or I just didn't know. But I knew that I knew that the time had come in 2013. And then somehow it didn't really happen then. And then 2014, I was like, you know what, come hell or hot water, I'm leaving. It doesn't matter what anyone has to say or whatever. I will do what's best for me. Yeah.
Yeah. But 10 years is really, I mean, I thought when you said, I misheard you, I thought you said about 2 years. So
No,
10
no,
years
a
is a long
university
time.
degree.
That's like a,
It
that's
is.
like a lifetime. 10 years is a long time. It's a big chunk of your life.
It
Uh,
is. But when the time has come for
yeah,
you to leave somewhere, it, then the time has come, and then
yeah,
if you say you're welcome, or then you don't, you're not growing anymore. If anything, you are regressing, and you might not know. And this is for anyone who's listening and who's holding on to someone or something that
yeah,
they should have left. It's it's just sometimes if really amazing thing that you could have had if you move forward. To get certain things you can't, not for long anyway, you can't be in between two states. It's not even physically possible. There are times you just have to accept that time has come for you to move on from something and then you move on and whatever, however long it takes.
Yeah. Okay. It is. It is. I mean, that's very interesting, and obviously that's nice that you stuck you stuck to that. I mean, a lot of people, like I said, uh, would after about maybe even 2 years or 3 years, they would probably think of UK as somewhere where they would settle, and that's it. You know.
I wanted to, but like I said,
Yeah.
because from the beginning I knew it wasn't a thing of, oh, I want to do this or I want to do that. But for me, the things that have turned out to be the right decision for me have been things that I know I need to do,
Yeah.
not necessarily because I feel like I want to do them or I don't want to do them. I mean, if I'm back Nigeria and going, oh, I'm gonna have to chill out because start again, and this is a new set of people, rules, places, all that. It for anybody, it would be a tough decision to make. Even going to the UK, because again, you don't have the experience of the snow and like if you're going there for the first time, you don't have the experience of the snow or the weather or the cold or the people or anything. But at the end of the day, if you're focused on why you're doing what you're doing, then
Mm.
it makes it easier.
Right.
I mean, so even when, because there will always be tough times, there's been tough times since I got back. There are things, certain things that haven't, even for work, haven't
Yeah.
worked out the way that I thought or whatever. But if you manage to sort of hold on to bigger picture. And even there were times in the UK that I just felt so that I felt like, oh, things are so bleak and I couldn't cope or whatever. But get again, think about the bigger picture, try and hold on to that bigger picture and know, okay, this is why I'm really doing this. So what that basically means is that you have to have a really strong why. So
Yeah.
it's not, oh, my best friend thinks I should do. No, your best friend is not going to be there with you when crap hits the fan or you get, nobody else can be your strong why. You have to have a really good reason why you're doing anything, and it's not necessarily because you want to make somebody else happy or like you.
Yeah. Okay. And what about acceptability? Did you receive acceptability from someone coming from Nigeria to the UK? Was there a lot of acceptability in the UK?
I would say yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Oh.
think yeah, because
Hmm.
it's really funny, but for the first time, I felt like I belonged in a place. I didn't feel like a freak. I didn't feel like something was wrong with me because, like I said before, I traveled. We I don't know what it was, but well now I know, but back then, um, it was impossible for me to get into a Nigerian university. So I was called lots of names from dumb to stupid to basically all variations of it. And I believed it. I believed that I was stupid. I believed that I was not brilliant. I was told many times in Nigeria verbally that that nothing will ever come out of me, that I was useless, I was a waste of space. And so getting to the UK and being given a chance to be in a college
Yeah.
in Oxford, where there were teachers well, where there wasn't anyone included in the house, the host family where I lived, where there wasn't anyone telling me how useless I was, how stupid I was. That at first, I mean, that was a shock. And
Yeah.
then it was what was more shocking was that within 2 weeks of my arrival in the UK, I got into the top of my class. Bearing in mind that I came in second term, I didn't even come in first term, and I had surpassed everyone in my class. I mean, records are still there. And so, like I said, for the first time, I didn't feel like an idiot. And for the first time, I started to accept that maybe everything I've been told about myself, about my abilities, and about my future in Nigeria were wrong, and they were.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we covered most of the stuff which we wanted to cover. Like I said, I will obviously we would provide the links to all the viewers and everyone who is going to be downloading this podcast on all the podcasting platforms or viewing it on the Talent Podcast YouTube channel where it would be posted. The links would be on there with a special template. The links will be there for everyone to view it. The Kindle, the ebook version or the paperback version. Just your thoughts. Were you hesitant to release your book on a paperback version because ebooks seem to be more popular these days than the paperback version? Would you agree
No,
to that?
because the paperback was actually released first. So that was
Okay.
yeah, that was the goal. I didn't really think of ebooks because I didn't have because the paperback was released in 2012. That was paperbacks were the main thing, and ebooks came afterwards, and so that was
Yeah.
that was
Okay.
what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's fine. And so you thought about ebook afterwards because the paperback released, like you said, right? Okay, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Is anything on this book, because this is your current book which you released? Would that be right?
The Forever That Day is the first one, and then Because Home is the second one.
Right. Okay. That's
And
fine.
they're both available on at every major online retailer. Because Home is just available as ebook, so as Kindle or EPUB reader, and then EPUB, and then Forever for You is available as Kindle, paperback, and EPUB.
Yeah. Okay. Is there when people are obviously going to be thinking about getting your book, is anything which on this book, especially the book obviously which we were talking about, Forever There for You, this novel, anything which was the highlight for you, maybe if you could sum that up in a couple of lines, what was the highlight for you in this book when you were writing it?
So the highlight was finishing it.
No, but as you're aware as well, when you're writing a book, it does take a lot out of you because you have to go into the character. So you have to divulge into the character. And obviously, if you're going to write a successful book like you're aware and you've written so many amazing books there, and obviously this is a novel, which would be even harder. Then even a short story is even harder. The short stories, obviously, you do have a smaller length in short stories, though it's hard, but to put everything into a short story as well. But obviously, but what about this book on there? Is there anything you want to say to the viewers regarding this book, Forever There for You?
I would say if you are somebody who likes to read multicultural fiction, or you know somebody who likes to read multicultural fiction,
Yeah.
especially for women, then get this book. You will thank me. Trust me, you will.
Yeah. Okay, on there. That's absolutely fine. Probably before it goes into a massive, massive broadcast, um, uh, is is also to say, first of all, it has been great having you on this live Zoom live broadcast, which we will upload it very shortly to all the podcasting platforms and onto the YouTube channels and social media. And regarding this, Chioma, so everything would be uploaded on there. Thank you very much also to coming as a guest on the Talent Spotlight podcast. Thank you very much. And yeah, and it's been great. Unfortunately, the connection has not been as good as what I was expecting it to be, but obviously that's not anybody's fault. It does happen with live broadcasting on there sometimes. But other than that, on there, and absolutely, and obviously, when you release your next book, absolutely, it would be fantastic to bring you back on board for anything else you release on there. It would be great to bring you back on at any time, Chioma, on there. So thank you very much once again, and on there, and we will. End with putting your permission templates at the end of the broadcast, as well as some other information regarding someone who I know who is so this is our unpaid advertisement that's coming at the end of the broadcast as well, which is her name is called Haley. She's a local UK singer, and her single has just released. So I will be putting that information up, Haley Gavdenek. So her information will come up at the end of the broadcast regarding her new single, which I've listened to yesterday, and it's absolutely amazing. That's coming up at the end of this broadcast, the information about it, how to download, how to view it and purchase the single and information, and it's something which you guys need to listen to. I've listened to it and it's really great. On this, so thank you very much once again, and hopefully we will bring you back soon regarding your next developments into writing or into anything else.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much, and all the best for this book. And I hope it was really well. Thank you very much. And obviously we will get you back onto the podcast very soon. Thank you very much, Chioma, once again from Nigeria. Thank you.